Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name's StepsBasic and welcome back to my community show. Ding. I had to use a little guitar on that one. Excuse me, cushion. But anyway, that's not what's important. What's important is today's topic. Today, I want to talk about fan service. Yeah, that's a good one, right? Now, there are many different styles of fan service, but the one that we're most familiar with are the ones that come with television shows, reboots, and whatnots. Now, this last year we saw a lot of reboots, remasters, restarts of a lot of things. And as such, this got me thinking about fan service. Now, admittedly, I didn't really formulate the idea to talk about this until I watched Pixel Pit's recent review of the Wizarding World Crimes of Grindelwald thing. Because he talked about fan service and tried to address how it's kind of, in some cases, badly done. And yes, in some cases it is really badly done. It's like when they take something from what it used to be and just shoehorn it into the story. I don't like that. As a fan of many, many things, I don't like it when they just shoehorn fan service into a genre or a title, a series even. As such, there are certain things where it's done really well. For instance, I'm going to bring up one of my favorite series ever, which would be Final Fantasy, in case you don't know. Final Fantasy is and has always been my favorite series anywhere. And throughout the entire series, there are subtle nods to other parts of the series. For instance, I think it was 9, they referenced Cloud from 7. Fan service. Hey, I played 7, I remember 7, that one was a good one. That one was really good, and I liked 9 too. And then in 10, they even had so far as to actually make it a plot point where a character's name was Shinra. And he studied the 10-2, sorry. And Yuna fell into the underworld, essentially, where the spirits and everything lie. And that character, Shinra, talks about how there was a lot of energy in the spirits. And if you watch 7, if you know the story behind 7, well, that's where Mako energy comes from. And Shinra's the big megalo corporation that is bent on ruling the world. So it's like, now that's a bit of fan service. It's done well. Now, I can't think of anything really badly done in video games, at least not right off the top of my head. It'll probably occur to me after I'm done making this video. But television series, like especially the reboots of, or the not reboots, but the continuation of Boy Meets World and Full House, had some badly executed fan service where the characters just kind of randomly appeared. Now, Girl Meets World did it a little bit, did it pretty well. It did occasionally feel very shoehorned in. Like, hey, you remember this person from back in the day? The kids are like, no. And the parents are like, oh. Yeah. But Girl Meets World was actually a really good series on its own, though it did employ a bit of fan service. And sometimes that just feels pandering. Full House, on the other hand, or Fuller House, which was supposed to be the adult version of Full House, where, hey, parents, you remember you used to watch this? Well, watch it some more. And it didn't really appeal to the new audience, and sadly enough, that one continued on when Girl Meets World was canceled, because I actually liked Girl Meets World, because it really felt true to the series, even though they didn't go as heavy on fan service as Fuller House did. At the same time, I feel like a series cannot alienate its core fan base. Now, Final Fantasy is a bit different because, you know, you're gonna have a fan base no matter what game it is. Wherever you started, that basically talks about who you are as a person and how old you are. Like, I started with 1. Final Fantasy 1 was the first Final Fantasy I ever played. It's not my favorite, but I do love it. And I have played every Final Fantasy since then, except for 3. If you asterisk. So there's going to be a fan base throughout the series. Like, oh, I started with 1, I played all of them. Oh, I started with 7, 7's the best. Oh, 8 was phenomenal, first game of Final Fantasy I ever played. Oh, 9 was so cool. I actually did like 9. 9 had a split reaction from what I saw when it first came out, because people were like, oh, I don't want 9, because, I mean, 8 and 7 were so sci-fi fantasy, it was so cool. But then 9 came back to fantasy realm and everything. It's so lame. But no, 9 was good. I like 9. But that's off topic. We can't alienate the fan base, but you also don't need to pander to the fans, because fans of a series will like the series at its core. Like, I like the core idea of Final Fantasy, i.e. JRPG. A bunch of people get together, save the world from some imminent destruction. I've saved the world so many times, I've forgotten how many times. So there's always going to be that core fan base. So in Final Fantasy, fan service is not necessary. It's fun, and we like the little subtle nudge, nudge, wink, wink sort of deal. But it's not necessary. And then there are the games that just completely go beyond where they started from. I don't like Jak and Daxter. I played the first one and I loved it. And I love the style of it, very, very much like Spyro. It was a bright, sunshiny, happy little world where you go around and collect things and jump platforming stuff. Very fun, I loved it. I hated the second one. And then they had racing, and it's like, I couldn't get into the second one. I couldn't play it, couldn't enjoy it. So they completely divorced themselves from the original fan base. Now this, of course, applies to series and television series and such as well. Much like the new Sabrina the Teenage Witch thing. Now, at first I was really upset because I'm like, this is nothing like the show I used to love. And it took me a long time to get into the new show. I found out that it was based off a comic book, and I had never heard of the comic book before. So when I found out it was based off a comic book, I kind of loosened up a little bit. I'm like, okay, so this isn't based off of my show. This is based off something else that was based off my show, and that something else sucks. But it took me a long while to get into the show. Especially because of, I should do a review on that, but oh my god. The story was interesting enough, although I found myself more interested in the side story that they never finished. And as that, it kind of irks me. I'm going to make a note. Do a video on that later there, StepsBasic. You got it, dude. It's not video game related, but we can do it because it's fan service. It's fandoms. Shut up, StepsBasic. Anyway. When the series completely divorces itself from its original fan base, it can sabotage itself. Now, fan service is one thing, pandering to fans is another. Pandering to fans sucks. It cheapens the whole affair for everyone involved. But then completely divorcing yourself from your fans is the way to ruin your company. Not just your game, but your company. And as such, that's kind of what happened to the Jak and Daxter franchise, too. Because there were a lot of people who played Spyro, loved Spyro, then Jak and Daxter came out, they played Jak and Daxter, they liked Jak and Daxter, and then Jak and Daxter 2, or Jak 2, came out, and everyone was like, what is this? Vehicles? Guns? This isn't what we liked. And so a lot of people left the franchise. Now, they're having a bit of a resurgence as people are like, oh, we like Jak and Daxter, we should bring that one back like we did with Spyro. And me, I'm just like, I liked the first one. I might still enjoy the first one, but all the other ones, meh. Which is why that series died. because they completely ignored their fans. They completely ignored what the fans wanted. And you see this happen a lot. Fan service is important, and done well can be very beneficial. Done badly can really ruin you, or at least the game. Can leave a bad taste in your mouth, like, oh, did you just make this so that I'd like you? Ew, I liked you before. Why'd you have to change, bruh?
Hey, quick little note from the future. As I'm editing this video, I just realized that I kind of may have missed a certain thing in referencing fan service being ignored. There is one thing. I do not hate it when people take their series in a different route, much like Jak did. They did actually create a much deeper world with Jak 2, and I kind of like. I can't deny that the new world that they created was interesting. I'm talking more about, you know, if you completely divorce yourself from the series that made you famous, as it were. Now, admittedly, I'm okay with people who take their series in a different way, because sometimes the ideas will be stale and you don't necessarily want to just feed off of the same thing that you've been doing. And as a creator, on the creator's side, I can definitely understand that. I'm speaking in this case as a fan who liked something that changed. And I don't believe, like I said, pandering to a fan base is the right way to go. But completely ignoring them is also not the right way to go. I think that if they had have made Jak 2 a separate game rather than Jak, but set in the same universe, I might not have been as upset with the game as I was. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. All right, bye.
What thoughts on fan service do you have? Give me some examples of some really bad fan service in games, because I honestly can't think of anything right now. I'd really like to hear about that, and maybe I'll address that at another point. But apart from that, what are your thoughts on fan service? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you wish that fans didn't exist? Because there are some people like that out there. I should make a video on fans. That would be an interesting video. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me for today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, all comments are welcome down in the comment section down below. And I will get back to you as soon as I can, when I can, if I can. You know all that jazz. And tune in next time as we address another topic at another time. And until then, good night.